do you take heart in the three quarters, or do you look back at the first quarter and lament what could have been?
It's a hard one to ignore the first quarter, unfortunately. So we didn't. We've sat down and talked through it already, but yeah, and we won't forget the second, third and fourth either. We'll make sure we look at what we did really well there. But to be 9 goals against in the first quarter makes it hard to win. I felt like we still had a chance, which was incredible. In the last quarter, we dropped 3 or 4 marks that are, just critical, crucial moments. We had a quick talk through why. Why did we start the way we did? Other than them being very good early, I thought they really had their tails up. They punched us right in the mouth. And we didn't really recover from that well until we had a chance to get a bit of a time out at quarter time. So disappointing for us. But again, from a full game point of view, to fight it out like we did and give ourselves still a chance was a positive.
What changed at quarter time? Can you take us inside that huddle? Because apart from that goal from Mills 45 seconds in, you outscored them for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Well, a few things changed. We structurally tweaked a little bit, but that wasn't it. I mean, we knew against Sydney we'd be under pressure at times, which we were even in that second half. But we got a lot of things wrong under pressure in the first quarter. We have method about how we play in that moment, and that's really taken the game back and I guess getting in the trenches, turning it back into a fight, and we weren't able to do that. And I don't want to take anything away from them because they were on tilt. It was hot. They were running patterns and routes, and the ball was bouncing in their arms, and that's what happens when you're confident and you're playing with the intensity that they were. So, but we've 9 goals in a quarter is unacceptable.
I'll ask you about Rory Laird and his performance. In the context of his season, how big of a display was that from him individually?
He's been outstanding right throughout the year. He's an accumulator. He does some work in around stoppage where he sets us up really well. He loves the contest. He's now got a wingman alongside him in Berry, who, it's really pleasing to see his development as well. And I think they're starting to gel. You talk about cohesion. I love not just those two. I think that's added to Keys' game. Schoenberg as well has now found himself back in the side for a number of weeks now, and he's starting to find his groove. But Lairdy leads a lot of that, when it comes to his hard ball gets, and broke a tackle record last week. It was that sort of game. It looked like it was going to be wet today, and it dried out reasonably quickly. But it was still going to be a contested game, and he played it exactly the way we knew he would.
Can you give us a word on Sam Berry as well, another young player who's contributing to that midfield mix that you just spoke about? As
I said, I think Sam makes it easier for Lairdy and for Ben Keys because he's got his game to the level. He's backing himself in. He's building his confidence. He's an explosive midfielder. He's an explosive footballer, and hopefully he just continues to get better and better, and we'll give him that opportunity. But he was very good today.
And what was your take on Jordan Dawson's match against his former club? He had the close checking of Ryan Clark, but seemed to push through that, and he was had an impact in the third term in particular.
He did. When we as a team got ourselves going, he definitely impacted the game. So we know it's on all of us. But Geordie has he's got some outstanding attributes. He's a very, very good footballer. Unfortunately, when we're not playing well, it makes it hard for him. But we knew they'd come for him. That's the Sydney way. They're competitive. They won't let you get an easy one. We knew that. Our guys were doing their best, but didn't work for us in the first quarter. But it was nice to see him get involved in the second half.
And was it spoken about before the match to expect that sort of close attention towards Jordan, not just in terms of Ryan Clark perhaps trying to stop him, but perhaps a bit of off?
I think Jordy knew it was coming. He spent enough time at Sydney and understands the culture, and that's the game we play. It's a competitive game, and they brought it. He handled that well.
Just called the battle between Nick Murray and Lance Franklin. It looked pretty even for a lot of the game, and Buddy finishes with 3, but you must be right with Nick Murray and his progress as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you nailed it. We're really pleased with Muzz and his development. and what he's bringing. He's a competitor. I think looking at it, Buddy may have had 10 touches and 9 score involvements, and that's what he can do to a game. But we'll sit down with Muzz and look through what he was able to do in the game. I thought he had a really strong game. He's just playing on one of the superstars of the game, which it's a great lesson for him. But he can hold his head high after today's game.
Shane McAdam injured again. What's the early feel?
It was a pretty bad cork, just through the upper thigh, just under his hip. He was doing his best to try and push through it, but they're an interesting one when they're around the hip. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that.
And Matthew, with Hawthorn winning today, it looks like you're set for another bottom 4 finish. Does a day like today sort of still give you the confidence that you're heading in the right direction and building something, even though the wins aren't perhaps there as you'd like? Yeah,
and that's the question all the time. When you look purely at statistics and you're only reading stats and you're not watching games, then you could say, ask the question, we're not improving. Well, we are. We're a long, long way ahead of where we were 12 months ago. But we have work to do on being consistent. And at the AFL, the game is so close. We're seeing it at the moment. The competition's, from the top 4 down to the bottom 4, it's a close competition. If you don't perform consistently throughout games, you're not going to win games of footy. I think we pretty much showed that at its worst today. We showed probably, a quarter footy that we'll review, but we'd like to forget. And then 3 quarters of where we controlled a game. So, we've developed as a group. We're in a good position moving forward, but disappointed at the moment with just not being able to do it consistently.
What happened to Matt Crouch? So I think he injured himself at training. Is there a chance he doesn't play again this year, or is it just a 1-weeker? What's happened with him?
Oh, well, we hope not. He came off Wednesday's session with a sore quad. He'll have a scan on Monday, and we'll look into that. But it looks like there might be something small there in the quad, which is disappointing. Trained really well on Wednesday as well, so we'll keep an eye on that. We'll go into next week, see how we recover from today as a group, and our Sanford will have a bye next week as well, which is challenging for us. But